This is laughable, Russell. The idea that now the Prime Minister is going to say he would get rid of it when he said before he can't because of devolution and the Mayor's control of what goes on in London. And, you know, Act Together and many of your viewers and others, we all challenged the Prime Minister. He did say there'd be an inquiry into low traffic neighbourhoods. We've got the Department of Transport, quite rightly, to stop funding the low traffic neighbourhood components. But we've seen up and down the country people refusing to pay. This is a hated thing. 7 out of 10 people have not been paying ULEZ. It's egregious. It's based on a complete fallacy about clean air. Our air's never been cleaner, and international metrics, it's better than most of our
Alan, it was getting cleaner anyway, right? So it's been getting cleaner for decades and decades without any help from Sadiq Khan.
And what I think is quite remarkable is the idea now that Rishi Sunak, after having not done the things he could have done, and by the way, there are other things that have not passed through Parliament, like the important challenge to free speech and deplatforming. But there are these things that now he's saying he'll do it. He's running scared. We've seen with Nigel Farage and Reform that it's kicked up a load of things, and with Corbyn and with George Galloway. This is the end of certainty for some of the main parties. I think it's an exciting moment for Britain, but it does mean the public has to assert ourselves around key critical issues, like around the freedom to drive, the freedom to not be surveyed all the time, to be fined and limited and restricted. And that's why we're saying, as well as taking an interest in the election, which I think many more people are now, get out, have a vote, but also get involved with us, togetherdeclarations.org. Come get involved locally, regionally, nationally, and make sure your voices are heard together.
So, Alan, let me ask this. So, look, I agree that ULEZ is just a cash cow. It's something like £150 million a year goes to the Mayor of London's office with regard to the ULEZ charge itself, and then there's about another £250 million a year in penalty charge notices. As you rightly say, 70% of those penalty charge notices haven't been paid, so that leaves rather a big hole in the Mayor's budget. But I guess we also have to concede that Sadiq Khan has just been returned to office for the third time, despite the indignity of ULEZ. So why on earth is that, if it's such a big problem?
Yeah.
And therefore, is Rishi Sunak barking up the wrong tree to think it's a trigger in London and a reason to vote Conservative, when clearly the electorate perhaps don't think it's that big a problem?
Well, Rishi Sunak is barking up loads of wrong trees. Whatever made him think he should dash back to an ITV interview with Brad and miss the important D-Day things, we know there's some reasons behind all of that.
Disgraceful.
But more to the point, they're in mortal threat now, the Conservatives, the most successful historic political party, quite rightly so, after the retreat from Brexit that they had a public mandate and an instruction to do, and then locking down people for several years, and the attacks on free speech and censorship, all the things we've seen now. So barking up the wrong trees, yes, Sadiq Khan did get voted back in. More than 60% of people did not vote. People were disillusioned, they're cynical, they're upset, and they're not all voting around ULEZ. However, the national election is going to be a different thing to a mayoral election. And we've seen that there's a sense of possibility again now, right? With some people that are saying you don't have to just go this way, there's something different. But much more than that, Russell, I think now what we've been saying all along is the public have to be front and centre. They have to be first. We have to be. Our interests, our needs. The emergency traffic orders and the measures that have been passed since lockdowns, shutting our streets down, surveying us,
and with no mandate, us, right? So there's no electoral mandate.
Exactly. The public did not want that. And the more that we explain and say that, there's a few green billionaires like Chris Cohn and others that are underwriting these things, taking away the democratic accountability, often in local authorities, because they don't want a national debate and discussion openly, cost-benefit analysis with the public. Are you prepared for this to make you be able to lose your job if you're in hospitality or retail, stop seeing your family, women not be able to travel around at cars at night, and things, all this host of measures? Or, David Lammy sort of says, well, get on the train, but you can't do that if you're a work person.